My name's Lisa Gent, and I'm a volunteer with the Cape Elizabeth Land Trust. And today we're going to talk about the life cycle of the monarch butterfly. Because here in Maine, this is the time of year when we start to see the monarchs returning from their winter home in Mexico. Most of you have probably seen monarch butterflies before. There might be one of the most recognizable butterflies that we have up here in Maine. Large, probably about the size of an adult hand, the wingspan at least, and beautiful orange color with black lines, and they'll often have a little white dot on their bottom of their hind wing. They love milkweed. It's one of their favorite plants. In fact, once the caterpillars lay their eggs, they lay them only on milkweed plants because it's the only thing that the caterpillars will eat. So you often will find the butterflies hanging out around milkweed plants, which is where we're standing right now. And milkweed, like the name says, is a weed, and it does typically grow in clumps. And you'll recognize a milkweed plant because they grow, there's one single stalk, you can see, with these thick, very rich green leaves. And if you actually feel the leaves, they're a little bit fuzzy on the underside, and they're smooth on top. And they do have a flower. These guys have gone past a little bit, but they have big clumpy flowers that are usually sort of a purpley, almost mauve color once they're in bloom. And in the fall, you'll definitely recognize a milkweed because they develop these beautiful seed pods that are this beautiful green, like pale green color. And once they dry out, those pods will split open, and there'll be somewhere around 1 million seeds inside each of the seed pods, which will float away and produce next year's generation of milkweed plants. Milkweed is so critical for the monarch butterfly because it is their only food source in the caterpillar stage. So the monarch butterflies, once they've arrived back up here, will immediately start looking for a mate. Once they find a mate, the female will search out a milkweed plant and lay anywhere between 200 to up to 500 individual eggs over a couple-week period. And she does that by laying the eggs on the underside of the leaf. So you want to be very careful when you're looking at the underside of leaves because you don't want to squish anything that's hiding under the leaf. It could be a baby caterpillar or an egg. Once the eggs are laid, they'll hang out on the underside of the leaf for about 2 weeks. And once they hatch out, a tiny, teensy, sometimes so small you can barely see with your eye, caterpillar will hatch out. And that's the second stage in the monarch butterfly's life cycle. The caterpillar has 2 jobs and 2 jobs only. That is to eat and to grow. And they're very good at their jobs. Now, monarch caterpillars are really distinctive. They have beautiful yellow and white and black stripes. And they're really one of my favorite caterpillars. And they have long black antennas that they use for sensing and feeling, just like all insects. Monarch caterpillars exclusively eat milkweed plants. And they have a fabulous adaptation because milkweed is actually a toxic plant for other animals, but not to the monarch caterpillar. They are able to ingest that toxin and it doesn't bother them at all. What's amazing though is that once the caterpillar goes through the metamorphosis and turns into the butterfly, that toxin remains in its body and it's a great protection against predators. So those really bright stripes on the caterpillar is actually telling predators, I'm toxic, don't eat me. And the bright orange and black on the monarch butterfly is saying the same thing. It's saying, I'm toxic, don't eat me. And it works. The caterpillars will be munching away on milkweed for about 2 weeks. And once they're big and fat, and usually about the size of a grown-up's index, an adult index finger, they go into what's called the J shape. So they crawl off somewhere, usually sometimes along fence posts, sometimes under the eaves of your roof, someplace where they think they're going to be safe, low branch in a tree, and they'll actually hang, I can't really do it, but in the shape of a J. And if you were to find a caterpillar, a monarch caterpillar, hanging upside down in the shape of a J, you know it's ready to spin a chrysalis, which is a safe little place where it hangs out. And the metamorphosis begins when it changes from caterpillar to butterfly. This generation of butterfly hasn't yet reached that stage. So right now we're finding eggs and we're finding caterpillars, but we haven't found any chrysalises yet. But we're going to keep checking back to this patch to see what we can find as the season progresses.